Hey yo everyone, this is Coach Says, and today's video I'm going to show you guys how to mix vocals just like Justin Bieber. To do so, I'm going to use the cover I've made with Matteo Markus of Lonely. I'm going to show you guys how I went from this.
Everybody knows my past now, like my house was always made of glass.
All the way to this.
Everybody knows my past now, like my house was always made of glass. And maybe that's a price you pay for the money and fame at an early age. And everybody saw me sick.
So let's get started. Okay, so first things first, I'm gonna use the second verse of the song to show you guys how to mix the vocals. And obviously the first thing I'm using is autotune, and these are the presets I've used. So I'm gonna make this very clear. Autotune does not fix your vocals, it just makes the transition between the notes a little faster. It does not change a lot of the vocal, it just gives it more that pop sound, especially with the settings that we're using right now with Humanize at 52 and Retune speed at 15. So right after that, we decided to add an EQ, obviously, with a high pass. It just gets rid of the low end rumble that's really annoying, goes and clashes with the kick, with the sub bass and the piano. We do not want that. So this is the difference between the before without the EQ and with the EQ.
Everybody knows my past now, like my house was always made of glass. And maybe that's a price you pay. Everybody knows my past now, like my house was always made of glass. And maybe that's a price you pay.
It's not a thing that you really hear, but once you put everything together, start compressing, trust me, it makes a big difference. So right after that, I used a de-esser. This is a very important thing to use. Please guys, if you're mixing vocals, use a de-esser. It does make a big difference, especially when you start compressing the higher end of the vocal. It's gonna be just really harsh. So de-esser vocals. To do so, I'm using the Wavestone de-esser, and I put some pretty harsh settings on it with a threshold at 39. And this is how it sounded before without the de-esser.
Everybody knows my past now.
And after with the de-esser.
Everybody knows my past now.
So don't worry, we're gonna get all that higher end back. This is just to control it. Okay, so right after that, we had to add a compressor. I'm using the Fruity limiter because I just like how it works, and can be asked to just go and buy like the CLA2 if it doesn't really make that much difference. So this is how it sounded without the compressor.
Everybody knows my past now.
And with the compressor.
Everybody knows my past now, like my house was always made of.
So what this does, it just gets the peak of the vocals. It just tightens it a little more. I like using very harsh settings. This just gives it more that pop sound that we're looking for. And yeah, next plugin is the RVox Stereo. It's another compressor, but this is a vocal compressor and gets all the higher end back to the scene. So this is without the RVox.
Everybody knows my past now.
And with the RVox on.
Everybody knows my past now, like my house was always made of glass.
I really love this plugin, just brightens everything up and gives that pop sound I love. Okay, so next thing is the C4 Stereo. It's another compressor, but this time it's a multi-band compressor. So the difference between the two is that the compressor compresses the vocal as a unit, and the multi-band compressor gets singular parts of the vocal, so the lower end, the low mids, the high mids, and the high frequencies, and compresses them in a different way. You use this if you want to compress the lower end in a different way than the higher end. That's probably what you want to do with the vocals, get the lower end a little tighter and the higher end a little more loose. So you can see the settings I use, and this is the difference between the before.
Everybody knows my past.
And after.
Everybody knows my past now, like my house was always made of glass.
It just basically controls more the lower end, which is pretty much annoying me a lot. Right after that, another de-esser. This time, instead of being on the 5K range, I put it on the 7.3K range because it was a little too harsh in my opinion. And again, not as harsh as before, but it's pretty harsh again with the threshold at 30.3. So this is the before, the Esser.
Everybody knows my past now.
And this is the after.
Everybody knows my past now. Like my house was always made of glass.
It just makes the 7.3K range a little less harsh, in my opinion. Next thing I added, and last thing actually, was the SSL channel strip, which is basically an analog emulator of the SSL channel, and it's an EQ. So what I did here is I added 3 dB to the 9K range. This just gives it more clarity and just pops the vocal a little more out of the mix. Next, I added 1.8 dBs to the low mids at 0.5 kilohertz. Just makes it a little warmer in my opinion, as we got rid of a lot of the lower end. Just brings it a little more out. And the last thing is I took away 6 dB, actually 7 dB from the 67 hertz range. Just getting rid of a little more of that rumble and giving more space to the kicks and the sub bass and the piano. Maybe not the piano, but the kicks and the subs for sure. So this is how it sounded before.
Everybody knows my past now.
And after.
Everybody knows my past now.
You can just hear the difference immediately. It just brings more clarity in the mix. So next thing I did was I used a bus to add long reverb. To add a bus, just click on your track, the vocal track, and go right here where there's this arrow. Click on it and it's just gonna bus it. So for the long reverb, I use for the Convolver. I don't use free reverb. I just think you have more control with the Convolver plugin. Got rid of all the dry frequencies and just left with the wet, and added a high pass on it, just controlling a little more the reverb. So this is how it sounded before.
Everybody knows my past now.
And after.
Everybody knows my past now. Like my house was always made of glass. And maybe that's a price you pay.
Next thing, I add another reverb. This time is a short reverb. To do so, I added Fruity Delay 3 with the ping pong preset on and brought the timing to 7 and 0. This just plays the vocal back a little later on. And added the Convolver 2, just gives a little more magic to the delay. This time I used this setting right here. It's Montclair Church G4 SB. It's just a tighter preset in my opinion than the default one I use for the long verb. And obviously the Fruity Parametric EQ2, using a high pass to get rid of the lower end of it. So this is how it sounded before.
Everybody knows my past now. Like my house was always made of glass.
And after.
Everybody knows my past now. Like my house was always made of glass.
And everything together sounds like this.
Everybody knows my past now. Like my house was always made of glass. And maybe that's a price you pay for the money and fame at an early age. And everybody saw me sick, and it felt like no one gave a shit. They criticized the things I did as an idiot kid.
Okay, so this is pretty much it. If you like this video, make sure you like and comment down below. And if you want to see how I made the beat for this cover, go and watch that video. It was about 2 videos ago. And make sure you like that one too. It really does help a lot. And yeah, peace.
Everybody knows my past now. Like my house was always made of glass. And maybe that's a price you pay for the money and fame at an early